I don't know how this is gonna go. I have a lot of shit moving through me right now. And I guess at this core is this, I don't know how to live in integrity with myself and in relationship. And or I'm just starting to figure out how to. In all the different ways maybe I've moved beyond some of the sacrificing and the people pleasing in ways, but there's so much nuance to living in integrity and cultivating the world I want to live in and seeding the culture around me and guiding others to step into this new way of being with me, and not taking responsibility that goes beyond that, or even that, of what can I take responsibility for, what is mine to carry and what isn't mine to carry. And it's showing up for me right now in the fucking smallest, in my family, in one of the smaller fractals. And of course this is the place where oftentimes the deepest wounds and triggers and old patterns and stories and everything comes up. But wow, it's been a tough 12 hours. And I guess I'll start by saying I feel a sense of, I don't know, obligation to this is specifically with my father and stepmom, and a sense of obligation to them based on the ways that they've supported me, mostly materially, financially in the past, growing up, and I know the control and especially the father-son relationship has many different nuances to it, and levels, and the power dynamics, and so much ancestral and internalized success, similarities, differences. It's just but this obligation to be there, and it even shows up in some of the levels of when I told him this morning and how I felt. I guess I can see it now that I'm talking through, because I can see his body react. I told him how disrespectful I felt from the ways that I've been treated, specifically by my stepmom. And looking back now, I just saw his immediate reaction and flare of anger. There was nothing else there except anger came up. And then it was, we're being disrespectful, you're disrespectful. And so then I internalized that and feel gaslit from my feelings and whatever was real to me and authentic and true to me, to this next phase of, oh shit, I'm feeling disrespectful. I'm disrespectful to him without catching myself, without holding a truth for me to recognize all of that in real time. There is more there. I could have held. But then me feeling that's disrespectful is, oh shit, I need to feel obligated, and I need to show up a certain way and be there for him because of how he supported me in my past, helping me through college, and when I had some tough times in my 20s, just all of it. And as if, wow. And there's a lot of, there's layers there as well of what is love, what is compassion, what is care, what is support in relationship. Is it all expected return? And almost a level of ownership coming from him. And he lives his life in a very capitalistic, money-centric way. And I see him. I see him. I see his father in him. I see him yearning to build pride in his father, and maybe never got the chance to fully feel that. I see him building success in the terms that he is. I see him yearning to love me through the ways that he was taught to feel and love himself, which is through financial security and abundance and power through money. And I think what I'm holding on to, which is the tough thing I don't know where to take responsibility for, is one of the conversations I had recorded with Morgan, even though I might have to re-record it, so if it's not shared, that's why. They described this need to be aware of the harm that we're causing and to minimize it. Or at least they share that that is their path to living in integrity, is the deep, deep work to knowing all the harm and pain you are causing through the way you walk through the world, through different interactions, relationships, and to minimize the fuck out of that. And so I can see my father and hold space for all the things that he is based on the traumas and pains and disconnection and disembodiment and the ancestral and the familial and the personal things. There's also something important to hold space for, which is, as someone within the culture of oppressor and with the power, there is a different level of accountability as comfort and security and a different type of struggle of life comes into play there. And so being someone that has experienced this, who will never, maybe never, feel a sense of true fear of my livelihood based on the resources around me from how I've grown up. I also might never feel the deep sense of trust and community that cultivates from the natural human bonds that come from supporting each other on that level. I have tried to live into that and lean into sharing my needs, and there's been a lot of work in the last few years of that, of opening up for asking for help and bringing that into my life. But there is something there that is that helps me see it all. That helps me feel such fucking sadness for all levels of pain and oppression when it happens. The disconnection that must come from the oppressor to be able to live in a life and to be not able to surrender to true relationship and uncertainty and presence through fears that then end up motivating them to oppress and appease those fears through control and power and the accumulation of resources, the hoarding, the domination, and all the ways that both get internalized and fucked up. I don't know actually now if I can say that there needs to be more space held or more accountability to the oppressor for continuing these systems. And actually, yes, there is. Because the change can only come from the oppressor. As they're continuing through pain to oppress the oppressed, they cannot, there isn't the opportunity for change to come, because we're continuing in the cycle of where the fight is and the struggle for survival based on the oppression, to different types of deep wounds that are often unaware and perpetuated into internally first, in the inside of this individual, of the oppressor, but then beyond. And so there is this level of accountability, even as I can see it all and just see fucking pain, and I can understand pain. And that is where my work comes in. To break the cycles of the past generations. And that's it. That's it. But it's more than just, of course it starts from me, but then it ripples out. And this is getting deeper and back to living in integrity, I think, in the end. We'll see, but it's got to be, because this is truth. This is something here. There is a level, and we can't just have the spiritual bypassing of me just living in my own shit, as we're such fucking contextual human beings. We are only who we are in relationship, and through community and culture we be and we become. And so I can't ignore the inner work and my relationship with my body, but I can't also ignore all of the context and reality around me that is not just weaving who I am, but weaving the continual evolution and emergence of the context of the culture through our relationships. And that comes into all the histories and dynamics and things. And so there is deep accountability here that I need to step into, that goes beyond me. And that's where I don't know where the living in integrity and truth and not stretching myself out and losing me and in all of this. And I think it's coming to a time now where I've been serving myself really deeply and going into my own journey, but I need to get back to serving others and finding out where that service is. That's not about me self-validating through some internalized ideal of success or guilt or anything of like, or shedding completely me as a leader, as I can create space for other leaders to step up and simply say, how can I serve those communities and leaders and relationships that feel like they are what I'm meant to be serving, through the expression of my gifts, sharing, seeding, guiding from a soil perspective, not from the top. And so there's something all coming here that I could bring back to my family, because I don't know that answer yet of where I need to step in and how deep these circles of influence and conditioning around me I need to take deep responsibility for when it comes to the larger culture. But I can go back to my family for right now, because that was what led to the morning I had, was last night as we're having dessert. I can look over at my stepmother and see such pain that she is so lost in living in another story of her. She's so lost in just seeking approval from others and all the superficial things that come from that. And the way she's internalized that into herself now projects to her immediate next fractal, which is her family. And I got so frustrated when I watched her multiple times judge and make fun of my half-brother, who's 10 years younger than me, for ways that he looked. And I watch him just take it. And as I bring it up, and I'm like, this is judgment, this is reinforcing so much shit in the world and not helping someone feel loved and seen in who they are, from a mother to their son. I can only imagine what she says to herself about herself, and all the ways that that ends up convoluting, and how she steps through the world. And he just, it was how he responded was, oh no, this is just, it's all fun, it's all funny. And it just made me realize these are cycles of abuse. This is harm and abuse that is perpetuating from my stepmother to my brother. And it's the dynamics within an abusive relationship that I'm seeing, and I'm like, oh shit, is my dad involved in this too? This is how it is. And I've known it. I even bring up, it was amazing to watch. I bring up this moment where I'm like, Susan, and I'm speaking for my sister as well, for myself, and I'm feeling so, like, you're so judgmental, you pass so much judgment. And she responds with, are you, what? I'm the least judgmental person ever. And it was like, holy shit, you just did a Trumpism. Like, you, like, wow, that was the embodiment of what something like that would say. And there's a thread there. There's a commonality behind them. And of course I can see the internal lack of connection with the body and the self, and just feel for all of that, and of course see it in the largest of, and Trump as well. I can just feel bad for him. But this is where it comes back also. I can see the pain and the oppressor and the oppressed, and there's a level of fucking accountability here that needs to not be ignored. So there's something here. Of course there is. It's obvious. But if we just want to break through the cycles, there has to be that. But as I'm listening to my stepmom, the things I'm going back to are, I was on a trip with this is 15 years ago, because I was 20 and my brother was 10. And I remember we were on a beach, and my stepmom made a comment about my half-brother being chubby. And he wouldn't take off his shirt at the beach, and then it hit him, and he's 10 years old. And then I watched him as he took off his shirt and then just ran in the water and then just went underneath, and he was so insecure about his body he couldn't enjoy the beach with me. I'm trying to get him to play with me and just do things. And that was criminal, like that was violent to me. The abuse in that moment of that comment that was internalized, and probably potentially, and I can only imagine there's many other times that something like that was said, but potentially a pretty important moment where, like, you got a 10-year-old who's looking to hang out with his bigger bro, and there's not that many moments like this. We're at the beach together, and his mom is making an excuse for him to make her feel better about the situation of her judging him, and trying to, it's almost like, wow, she was insecure for herself based on his experience, and wanted me to not judge her. Wow. Yeah, it's like if you're insecure about like a zit on your face real fast, and the first thing you say to someone is just like, oh yeah, I've got this zit right now or whatever, just so you can have it be known and said because you're feeling insecure about it. This was in relationship with her son, and it was something in this nuance that was like, whoa. And so oh fuck, God, there's levels of shit there. And so in the end, just fuck. My brother's been absurdly skinny ever since. I never talk about it. He never says a word. about his weight or how he eats. And she makes so many comments about eating and food and things. I bet he thinks all the time about his weight. He's constantly worried about it. He's constantly cognizant of what he's putting in his body and the fears of what that might do to him. Anyway, and this hasn't even gone to the fucking dynamics my stepmom has created between her and my sister, which is the toughest relationship in my family. And the saddest when it comes to self-worth. She's so beautiful, and I remember her when she was younger, and loved to sing, loved to read, loved to connect and open up, and now I just see so much pain, so much fear around judgment from others, and a lot of this comes from my stepmother. I don't talk about this much, but I have the same body image issues that I just shared about my brother. And I have shame of the shame. I'm ashamed of how I look often, and I'm ashamed of the shame, and so I never talk about it. Just constantly concerned about how I'm eating. Pretty regularly comparing myself to others and how skinny they are, and my worthiness to go talk to that girl or share that connection or just be present in community because of how I'm looking, and have this fluctuation of weight. I have periods where I go through bulimia. It's hard to talk about. I put so much pressure on myself to eat right that when I lose it and I stop eating the way I want to eat, sometimes I just spiral, and it just leads to like overeating, and it's just like escaping myself in the pleasure of taste, and I just consume to a place that I get sick and I have to purge. And I don't just purge because my body's sick, I'm purged because I don't want to get fat. I'm surrounded by a gaggle of bees and the lawnmower at the park. This is what happens when I come at the crack of dawn because I can't sleep. My deepest, one of my deepest healings has been around food for me and living in right relationship with my body and how I eat. It's been the medicine that I'm looking to share now as I've stepped into this chef work, as I went through a pretty many powerful experiences through my travels, but one was a week-long body cleanse, and I was fasting and then enemas and cleaning this thing out and a liver flush, and it led to this chance to reset my relationship with my body and food, and found what was really nourishing and feeling right for me and my body. And it changed everything in how I eat. And I love meat, but I don't eat it as much, pretty rarely right now, and only when it feels right and in like where it's coming from. But so many different fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts now, and getting everything my body needs and doing it in a way that feels right, of course with nature and all of life, but most importantly, I don't know, it's helping me heal this relationship. It's helping me, I love this guy. In some ways, it's helping me like heal my need for sweets and embrace my sweet tooth, and just been making, like amazing fruit smoothies with my homemade peanut butter and yogurts and things and granola, and just doing things healthily and just conscious of it. So anyway, it's been the medicine I've needed to heal this relationship with my body. And I look back at periods of bulimia for me, and those times that I purged and made myself throw up, it was a fractal of violence on my body that was like hurting. Like it was like, it's like it was, I'm plunging down and getting oil from Mother Earth to feed a fucked up, insatiable need of mine on a cultural context. That's the easy way, that's around escape or whatever, and then it causes a fissure, and it's violence to the land as the same fractal as I'm over consuming and I need this, and it's violence to myself based on a disconnection of my true needs and how to have them met in the world around me. So there's some deep shit there. Oh, my geese are leaving. And so bringing this back to the story of my time with my family. So yeah, I didn't know how much to fight and to try to move this immovable rock, which is my stepmother, and change it when there's nothing, there's no conversation, there's nothing getting through. There's also a lot of alcohol use at this point in the evening, and so she's drunk, and so there's nothing getting through there, but she's still causing trauma and perpetuating these cycles of abuse to my half-brother. And I'm sitting here and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to show up right. And I'm trying to call out, and I'm also at the same time holding space for my dad, who I do love and has a good heart, even though he isn't open to doing enough of the work to take accountability for what he needs to take accountability for based on his privilege and perpetuation of the oppressor for himself first. And he's so disembodied, so disconnected, so lost in what love could be, and feelings and emotions. And he's just guided by old patterns, guided, moving through the world through striving for more when it comes to accumulation. And so all of that in this context of I do love him, and some of it's the obligation, and some of it's the safety net, and so without judging myself or feeling weak through that, he's asked me, in this moment at least, he's asked me to step into, but let's just be there and try to help a family feel like a family in ways. And I think I need to shed that responsibility. But I'm holding on to this in a moment last night as I can't get through to my stepmom, and there's drunk, and she's just in her own fucking world pestering. I had a nightmare about her the other day, and I almost told her this, but I didn't. A nightmare about like her pestering anyway, and I couldn't get space, and I just felt suffocating, and it got really intense, and I was just, I've never had a nightmare about her before, but the fact that I had this nightmare about her, then had this occasion, and then this release is coming out now. This shit's meant to be moving through me right now. It's meant to be going. And I go down and I go to sleep, and I journal for a bit and kind of reflect on some things, and I wake up early and I couldn't sleep, and I'm trying to move through this, and I eventually get up, sunrise, and just like, I'm gonna go through my morning practice, and I'm like, fuck, I don't feel safe here. I don't feel comfortable in this. I don't want to find my strength through my morning practice in this house, in this space. I was down in the downstairs where I have a pain that I never told that I have the pain, which is when I left for college, they turned my room into a wine cellar, and I just tried to minimize that. And it was my room. I was only there every other weekend for most of my, my childhood, so it was maybe eight, I don't know, maybe max 10 days a month, less than that. But it was my room. It was where I felt safe, and it was just taken away from me as I left. And then of course I come back and I have to pretend that, oh yeah, it's no big deal. I can sleep in this other guest room now, and they'll call it my room, and it'll be my room. And then it doesn't feel like home. And she just pushes like, oh, it's so great down there, it's so quiet. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like home. And again, I'm reminded that she can't feel on that level. Like, it's so disconnected that yeah. What does home and belonging and all of that mean? I feel such sadness for her. I'm recognizing I'm feeling a lot of sadness for that loss of that room that I never spoke up about. And how much it mattered to me. And I just never let it be known. I didn't want to rock the boat, and I wanted to appear to be the happy son, and I internalized what they were telling me. This is all part of the family shit that we're there for. And so this morning, as I'm getting up, and oh, there's a seal right there too. That's beautiful. Anyway. As I'm getting up, I'm like, okay, how am I going to live in integrity in this moment? I'm like, okay, I got to leave. And I have to have a conversation with them in some way. And I don't know how it's going to go, and it went fucking horribly, as expected. I was hoping to talk to my dad first and just tell him, like, hey, anyway. But I'm packing up, and I get outside, I'm loading up my car, and I'm getting things ready, and come back to grab another load in the house. And I'd only been there a day, but I put some stuff in the fridge because I live out of my car, and I and then I put it in my cooler back in. But I walk through, and my stepmom comes out, and we have a moment of she's just pleasantly just like, hi, how's it going, like pretending like nothing happens. And who knows how much she even remembers in some cases when she drinks so much. But I couldn't help myself from just glaring at her. I felt anger, and it came through in my eyes. And then she's just like, I just watched her reaction of just, oh shit, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't feel comfortable here, safe here. I'm leaving. And some of that hit me in my heart of, was that the right way to handle that moment? But it wasn't bad. In most part, I stepped outside there and like, okay, I'm okay with that. I'm living in integrity with that. And then I get out to my car, finish, and then my dad comes out. And that's when we have this confrontation. And it was intense. And he just doesn't understand me, and he never will. And this is where another part of the tough of living in integrity is how do I live in my integrity and show up in my relationship with my family, specifically my father in this case, in a way that allows us to still have some connection. and for it not to pull me away. But could it ever be nourishing? Could it ever be nourishing? I don't know. I don't know. And yeah, he is never going to come along this journey with me. I don't think he'll ever deepen his connection with his body or his feelings. He is in the way of being he is, and he turns 70 soon. And I love him, and I want to be there for him. What boundaries do I need to create to do that? What do I need to say no to so I can come in with my embodied fuck yes? And it's tough. I don't even want to do. I feel bad. Like we used to go to football games together and things. I don't really want to do that anymore. It sounds like, yeah. So that's a no. That's a no. I'm gonna say no to him. We used to go to we go to one away Seahawks game a year. That's a no. Even conversations with him are tough. What's a fucking yes? What is the yes to have the relationship with him? And what do I hold myself accountable about maybe helping him come along because he's perpetuating pain in the world? Where is that place of the sweet spot where I'm taking in the context of who I am, the privileges I have, bringing my family to part of the journey because they need to come to create the world I want to live in, and not push me through spaces of trauma and just unnourishment that's there. I think there's also something coming up here about, yeah, I shouldn't have used trauma. Maybe I should, but because of the privilege I have, I don't want to overstate my pains that are really just discomforts. And so there is a level of responsibility that's put on me to move through discomfort, to help build something, to help co-create the culture and the world and the healing and the change and the growth that we need. Because that is a part of my responsibility of me living in integrity. So what's the fuck yes with my relationship with my dad? It's not doing things the way we have been. We can't just, I've been calling it passive happiness, where we just talk about the light shit that makes us feel okay. If we're getting deeper, conflict emerges. There's gonna have to be a way. I've been trying. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's been years of this. And we had a big falling out after he was just like about a year ago, year and a half. He was just like, what the fuck are you doing with your life, Jordan? And I just recognized this part of me that will probably always want to have my father be proud of him, but maybe never will. What is my responsibility here? Maybe at this point in my journey, I can't bring him along, and anything I do just takes away the energy. That means I also need to disconnect myself from the spaces that make me feel obligated to him. Ugh. That means completely disconnecting from the idea that he could be a safety net for me. That's what I have to do first. That's living in integrity. And I think I have to continue on this journey without trying to bring him along right now. The energy I'd put into this 70-year-old man who is so disconnected from himself, going through patterns, unconscious and unaware, and full of the escapisms that money can provide without really having needs being met. I can't put this on my plate. I don't even think I can put on my plate trying to protect my sister or my brother from them. I'm coming full circle to where I've been of what is my responsibility or not. I also hope that as I move through the world and go through this period of deep exploration and stepping into it, I can start to build the relationships that then ripple out into their potential. What could it mean for us to create the alternative that is so fucking attractive to them that they can actually look down in a way that's safe enough that they can? Because right now, if I specifically think of my sister, probably my brother too, there's so much fear and grief and things to move through that keep them from even looking at the spots and parts inside of them that are moving them through the world in this unaware way, unconsciously full of pain, and they can't touch those or explore those and heal through those, and then open up to relationship, first with themselves in a deeply loving, truthful, authentic, and aligned way, and then of course with others in nature in right relationship. And so continuing on this path to work to co-create the alternative that shows a different way of being, where someone can say, I don't know what I need to do to get there necessarily, but something feels wrong in me, and that's where, and that's a space, that's the place I think I can move towards, and all the different steps on the way that could help somebody get there. And I think what I've learned in my journey is it's not about selling people something or getting somebody on board. It's about being the landing spot, the nest, for when they're ready to start asking those questions. So I hope one day my brother, my sister, I don't think I can say my father or my stepmother in this case. At their age, they are what they are, and I'm not going to hold out any hope there. Actually, I don't know. Maybe not for them personally, I don't know. No, I'm not ready to give up there. So for my brother, for my sister, for my dad, fuck her. Those three. I hope to be able to create a spot that when you're ready, you can land. You can land and feel safe, nurtured, and cared for as you go deep into a place to explore how to heal the wounds that can allow you to move through the world with more love for yourself, with more feeling and sensing, more possibility for just what life can be and what being a human can bring. And of course, what can help us heal. Heal this planet. From that large fractal to the one inside in our body. And it's all the same. I'm going to leave it at that today. Yeah. Tomorrow's my my birthday. Thank you. Thank you.